recording right now. It's for my Instagram. Record all these talks. Copies of all of my talks. And this one's up. So is everybody here a Cosmo, esthetician? What are you? You're all Cosmos? Okay, perfect, perfect. How far along is everyone? You graduating in like 5 minutes, or you still have like 6 months? You still have 6 months?
Like a year.
Oh, you still have about a year. So so this is my first time at the school. Do you have like a full-time or a part-time program here? Or is it all, I'm not exactly sure how the schedule works here.
We have different schedules, so
Okay.
it depends on how many hours you want to get in a week. So we have 3, and one of them's a fast track schedule where you're 5 days, but we're a little more hours on our later open business days.
Okay.
And then some people will be here Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the medium amount of hours to get. And some people are here 5 days, but it's a fewer hours.
Okay, okay, so we just have rotating schedules. Okay, perfect. So we might as well get started. I think this is everyone. My name is Greg. I'm a licensed esthetician. I've been in the beauty industry for over 20 years now. I started out as a makeup artist in 2003. I studied under a guy named Robert TIGI. I'm sure maybe you've heard of Cher, or maybe you've heard of Bette Midler. He did their makeup, and I learned from him. Since then, I've been traveling around to makeover studios around the United States training makeup, and I also do a lot of skincare. I launched my first skincare line in 2015. It's called Rocky Mountain Life, and it's to heal and preserve tattoos. I'm happy to say that in 2025, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, and so that helped me to get into skincare. It helped me to move away from makeup and more into skincare. I went and I got a diploma in organic skincare formulation, and so I'm all about ingredients in skincare and what the ingredients are and how they work. Recently, I've written 2 books on skincare, one about vitamins in skincare and another about sun exposure and what the sun can do to your skin and how to protect that. I'm pretty much going to touch on all of those subjects today. And as I start, I'm just going to start with basically I'm going to start with 2 questions, and both questions have the same answer. All right, so here we go. What is the #1 rule of skincare? Anyone guess? Sunscreen. Sunscreen is the #1 rule of skincare. Some people say that you just need sunscreen when you go outside, or sunscreen when you're swimming or things like that. But the sun can actually go through the windows. You can go through your clothes. So if you're concerned about anti-aging, you want to be wearing sunscreen every day. So this leads into the second question. What is the #1 anti-aging product in the world? Sunscreen, correct, that's correct. If you want to prevent the signs of aging, sunscreen every day is non-negotiable. And this is something that you can tell your clients as well. Sunscreen every day is non-negotiable. This is the #1 way to prevent the signs of aging. There are 3 kinds of UV light that we need to pay attention to. All right? First is UVA rays, UVB rays, and UVC rays. UVC rays, we don't really need to worry about those because those are filtered out through the ozone layer, so they don't really reach us here on the surface. It's the UVB rays and the UVA rays that we need to worry about. I like to call UVA rays the aging rays. These are the rays that are going to age your skin. They're going to break down the DNA in your skin cells, and that's where cell comes from. The other kind is UVB rays. I call these the burning rays. These are the ones that are going to tan you or give you a sunburn. Now, you can protect yourself from the burning rays, wearing a hat, wearing sunscreen, wearing UV protective clothes. But it's the UVA rays that you need to be careful. Those are going to go through your hat, they're going to go through your clothes, they're going to go through the windows. Those UVA rays will age you whether you're inside or outside. Whether there's cloud cover or not, in the summer, in the winter, UVA rays are gonna find you. So that's why I started out the talk with the most important skincare ingredient, or the number one rule of skincare, sunscreen. The number one anti-aging product in the world, sunscreen. Sunscreen, sunscreen, every day. Any questions about that so far? No, pretty straightforward. Yeah.
So I know sunscreen protects against the extrinsic forces such as the sun, aging, weather, all of that. It does also block against blue light, right?
Some sunscreens do. Some sunscreens do. You're looking for a broad spectrum sunscreen. That's going to give you the UVA, UVB, and then sometimes if you look closer on the labels, it'll say digital defense. And the digital defense is what protects you from the blue light from your screens and from your phones. It's true, screen time will age you, so you got to be careful of that blue light. So yes, blue light, look for broad spectrum and digital defense sunscreens. Any day of the week, you want to have a broad spectrum sunscreen. That's gonna, again, it's gonna protect you from UVA and UVB. You don't really need to worry about UVC. But again, broad spectrum or mineral based as well. I'll get into mineral based in just a little bit. But yes, you wanna look for, it says digital defense. And I think Dermalogica actually has one with a digital defense in it. So let's move on to tanning. Or before I do that, is there any more questions before I move on? Cool. Tanning. Tanning is your body's natural defense against the sun. What tanning does is the melanin, the pigment in your skin, it starts to produce a little bit more melanin to protect from the radiation from the sun. That's where a suntan comes from. But when your production of melanin at some point, at one sun point, and it's different for everyone, but the production of the melanin stops. And the sun and the radiation still keeps going in, and that's where you get what's called erythema, or the redness, the sunburn. That's where it comes from. Because the heat and the radiation that's hitting your skin, it affects the blood vessels underneath your skin. It's called vasodilation, meaning blood vessels expand. And when the blood vessels expand closer to your skin, you actually see the blood. That's where the redness comes from. So if you see somebody with rosacea, or you see somebody with a sunburn, or you see somebody with rosy cheeks, that's actually blood next to the surface that you're seeing. So how do we calm this down? Well, first and most important ingredient when protecting against sun is aloe. Aloe has been protecting us from the sun for 2,000 years. It's a very simple ingredient, but what it does is it's actually a natural moisturizer. You can go in and it protects the outside of your skin. It creates a barrier to hold the moisture that you have already in there. That's what aloe has been doing. And again, aloe has been used for over 2,000 years to prevent or heal sunburns, sometimes scars and sometimes cuts as well. Aloe can help heal that. 35% of Americans use tanning beds in America. There are 18,000 tanning beds in the United States, and there are only 1,000 beds that treat skin cancer in the United States. That's a huge difference there. 1,000 hospital beds that treat skin cancer versus 18,000 tanning beds. Again, those tanning beds use both. They use both UVA and UVB rays at the same time. So depending on your length of exposure, yeah, you can get a sunburn in a tanning bed.
So we use some beds that have like blue light and red light as well as the purple UV lights.
Right,
Can
right.
that help with any of the destruction caused by UV
It
rays?
can. The blue light will help to calm down the erythema or the inflammation. Blue light also helps to kill bacteria at the same time. So if you have somebody that's suffering from acne, literally blue light can help reduce that redness and reduce that a little bit. So yes, absolutely. It's perfect for, especially the blue light is kind of helping to counteract, what's the word, the side effects of the red light or the tanning light. So that's what it's for. It helps it to Makes it just a little bit healthier.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions about tanning or tanning beds? Cool. Sunburn. Again, when the amount of radiation is too much for the melanin to handle, that's when we get burned. The DNA in your skin cells can be damaged in less than a minute of sun exposure. Less than 1 minute of sun exposure can start to damage your skin cells, and you can get a sunburn in under 15 minutes without the protection of sunscreen. Hyperpigmentation. Is anybody familiar with hyperpigmentation? It's where your skin is producing too much melanin. And that's, again, it's a reaction in some people from the sunlight. You're producing too much melanin, and then it just doesn't stop producing melanin. That's where hyperpigmentation comes from. You can treat it with everyday services, like you can treat it with microdermabrasion, you can treat it with chemical peels, and you can also treat these with skin lighteners. I'm going to get into a few specific ingredients like kojic acid or niacinamide. I'll go deeper into those, but if you're looking for ingredients that lighten and brighten, you're looking for those. Kojic acid, niacinamide, vitamin C. These are all things that are going to brighten the skin tone. And people who have darker skin tones, instead of brightening, it helps to even the skin tone out. So if you have people with dark skin tones, sometimes you see a splotch or a dark spot. That's what those are for, to lighten those dark spots or to even them out. SPF, the letters SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor. Sun Protection Factor, basically this is a measure of how long you can be in the sun without getting burned or getting the erythema. So let's say you have an SPF 15. An SPF 15 will allow you to be in the sun 15 times longer than without sunscreen, without getting burned. All right, so if I can be in the sun for 15 minutes without sunscreen and get burned, an SPF 15 will multiply that amount by 15. Does that make sense? So an SPF 30 will give you 30, you'll be able to stay in the sun 30 times longer than without sunscreen. All right, or with an SPF 50, 75. Now, there's a caveat here. The difference of effectiveness is not very different between the different SPF types. For example, an SPF 15 and an SPF 50, there's only a 6% difference of effectiveness between the two. So an SPF 30 would be pretty much good for anyone, all right? Because again, there's only a 6% difference of effectiveness between a 15 and a 50. So if you go right down the middle, an SPF 30 will be just great for just about anyone. There are higher amounts like 50, 75, 100. I've seen 100, I think is just a little excessive. You can use it, it does work. But for people who have lighter skin tones, people with red hair and freckles, you would want to use at least an SPF 50 for those folks, or even a 75, especially if they have red hair and freckles. A 75 would be perfect for somebody like that. But anyone else, an SPF 30, is great for you. People with really dark skin tones, people who, what am I trying to say? People with really darker skin tones, the melanin in their skin gives them a natural SPF factor. It's actually a natural SPF factor of about 13. So that's why people with darker skin tones, you hear people with darker skin tones don't necessarily need sunscreen. Technically true, but yes, it gives you an SPF factor of about 13 there. Any questions about SPF? No? Okay, perfect. And so I'm going to go into the mineral versus the chemical sunscreens. We touched on that just a minute ago. So that, yeah, there's two different main types of sunscreens. There are chemical sunscreens or organic sunscreens, and then there's inorganic sunscreens. The organic sunscreens, these are the mineral sunscreens. These are the ones that are going to take the UV light and absorb the radiation and the heat into the actual product instead of it absorbing into your skin. Right? So it absorbs the heat, it absorbs the radiation. Inorganic sunscreens those reflect the sunlight away from you. All right? So organic sunscreens absorb the bad stuff. Inorganic sunscreens reflect the bad stuff. Either way is perfect. There is a lot of debate right now between mineral sunscreens and chemical sunscreens. And in my opinion, there will always be a debate between the two. I don't see a big difference between the two. You can't, actually no, there is one difference. Mineral sunscreens, you can leave those on overnight and it's not gonna bother you or hurt you or dry out your skin. Chemical sunscreens, they will. You can't wear those overnight. And honestly, I think that's the only difference between chemical and mineral sunscreens. Again, it's an open debate. There are lots of opinions on either side, whether organic or inorganic is better. But again, the only difference I can see is you can wear mineral sunscreens overnight and not have a problem. Any questions about any of that before we move on? Perfect. So that's enough about the sun exposure, stuff like that. You go ahead. Yeah.
Is that the myth that I heard?
Sure.
Is there a difference between sunblock and sunscreen?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Sunblock. That's the reflector. That's the one that's reflected away. Sunscreen is going to absorb. So it's the same thing. Kind of the same idea.
So you can still tan with sunscreen and not burn, but you couldn't tan with sunblock necessarily. But you
That makes sense.
could.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. So I'm going to go into skin types for briefly, just briefly. Again, we're mostly cosmos here. Okay, cool. Skin types that we need to really worry about. There's dry skin and there's oily skin. Everything else is kind of a measure in between the two. All right, there's normal skin, there's sensitive skin, but the two main ones that we worry about for our purposes would be dry skin versus oily, and everything is somewhere in between. Dry skin, this is skin that does not produce moisture or enough moisture on its own. So you need some sort of supplement to boost the moisture in the skin. Oily skin already has an abundance of moisture. You don't necessarily need to moisturize that kind of skin. So the different types of ingredients for these different types of skin. Dry skin, we're looking for creams. That's what we're looking for. Creams or oils. Technically, oils are whipped cream. All right, so that's kind of what cream. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Creams are whipped oil. I said that backwards. Pardon me. Creams are actually whipped oil. So creams are good for people on the drier end. That's going to create a nice barrier over the skin. Gels are on the other side of the spectrum. Gels are water-based, and those are great for skin types that are on the oilier side of the spectrum. People who are suffering from acne, you want to focus on products that are water-based or gel-based versus oil or cream-based. And that's kind of the general idea. Everything, pretty much every other ingredient and exfoliation technique, skin type, it all kind of stems from that principle. Dry skin needs creams and oils. Oily skin needs waters and gels. And kind of everything else kind of falls into those two categories in skin. When you're talking about specifically oily skin, there's a kind of a myth about oily skin, and I even said it a minute ago, that oily means wet or moisture, and that's not necessarily correct. In some cases, yes, but oily skin still needs to be moisturized, and here's why. When you have an overproduction of oil, when your skin is overproducing oil, what's happening is your skin thinks it's dry. And so it's producing all this oil to try and make up for the fact that it thinks it's drying out. So if you moisturize with a gel or a water-based product, if you moisturize acneic skin, you trick your skin into thinking that it doesn't need to produce more oil. All right? So yes, people who are suffering from acne still need to moisturize their skin just as much as everyone else, because it's activating a response in your skin saying, we don't need to produce more oil, we already have all this moisture. It's the opposite of what happens with dry skin. Dry skin, we're doing the opposite. We are injecting moisture into our skin to try and jumpstart the moisturization process. We're trying to trick your skin into producing more oil. And gels and creams trick oily skin into producing less oil. When we're talking about, and that's the differences in exfoliation. I'm not sure exactly, I'm not sure where you are in your program yet. Have you touched on exfoliation and kind of the different kinds of exfoliation here and there? Some are nodding and some are not. Okay, let me touch on that real quick, might as well, because for me it was confusing at first. There's three main types of exfoliation, and just like anything in beauty, there are exceptions to every rule, but there are three general types of exfoliation. There's physical exfoliation, there's enzymatic exfoliation, and there's chemical exfoliation. Any type of exfoliation will generally fall under these three ideas, all right? Physical exfoliation is exactly what it sounds like. It's where you have those scrubs with the little grains or the sand or anything like that. That's physical exfoliation. You're literally moving the dead skin cells on the surface of the dirt and oil, and you're moving them away, you're sweeping them away. That's what physical exfoliation is. Enzymatic exfoliation, I call it natural exfoliation. These are like the enzymes, the pumpkins and the papayas. These are the natural exfoliants. These are the ones that are like little Pac-Mans, and they kind of break down and they eat away at the dead skin cells and the dirt and oils on your skin, so that you can easily sweep them away later. So that's what an enzyme is. And a chemical does the same thing as an enzyme, except it's not natural. These are actual chemicals like alpha hydroxy acids, beta hydroxy acids, polyhydroxy acids. These are all chemicals that are outside of the natural world, and these also break down and eat away at the dead skin cells and the dirt and impurities, so that you can easily sweep them away. So that's kind of the general idea. Physical exfoliants physically move stuff. Enzymatic exfoliants break it down, and chemical exfoliants also break it down so that you can remove it. And what this does is it reveals fresh skin underneath. What it does is it takes that barrier away from the skin so that you can put the good stuff in. So if you're doing a facial, you cleanse first, and then you exfoliate, and then you put all the good stuff in. That's why we do it in that order, because we remove the dirt and oils. Then with exfoliation, we go even deeper, removing all that. We have a clean slate to put the serums and the masks and the moisturizers. It removes that barrier of dead skin cells so that the product can penetrate even deeper. And again, there's alpha hydroxy acids. Those are mainly for folks who are on the drier end of the spectrum. Then there's beta hydroxy acids. Those are for more people on the oily end of the spectrum. So that's another one. Like acid. This is an alpha hydroxy acid. It's a chemical exfoliant. What this does again is it breaks down the dirt and the oils and the impurities. It chemically breaks them down and it eats them away, and then you can easily remove it. But glycolic is pretty serious stuff. Glycolic acid, when it first came out, it was burning people. They were testing it with this, they were testing it with that, and it just wasn't working. Glycolic acid was so serious that they decided that you needed a special certification in order to use glycolic acid. And that's where the aesthetics industry was born, because of glycolic acid. That's where skincare started, because of glycolic acid. It moved from hair and beauty and barbering, and it separated into its own thing. Aesthetics was born because of glycolic acid. The next one is lactic acid. Lactic acid is also another alpha hydroxy acid. Again, it helps to break down a little dirt and impurities, but lactic acid is literally found in sour milk. That's exactly what lactic acid. Lactic Cleopatra used to take baths in sour milk, and because it made her skin look beautiful and radiant. Well, now we know why. It's because of the lactic acid. It's the lactic acid that was in the sour milk. That's why her skin looked beautiful after these baths. Questions about the glycolic or lactic acids or anything like that? We're getting pretty close to the end. I've only got 2 more subjects to talk about. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about vitamins, what vitamins are and what they do. After that, I'm going to go into a few key ingredients, and then we'll be done for today. Pretty easy stuff. So I'm just going to go straight through the vitamins A, B, C, D, and E. Vitamin A, start with that one. Most commonly known, another name for it is retinol. Vitamin A is a derivative, retinol is a derivative of vitamin A. What is retinol? What does it do? We've all heard about it. We've all seen the commercials. We've seen Olay selling their retinol. What is it? What does it do? What retinol does is it helps to reduce the signs of aging. In fact, it's the only ingredient in the world that is FDA approved to reduce the signs of aging. Everything else you've ever heard about any ingredient in the world, it's all BS, okay? Retinol is the only one that has actually been proven to work, and here's why. It's all about cell renewal. It's all about cell turnover. When our skin ages, what happens is the rate of our cells reproducing slows down. When our cell production slows down, our new cells don't produce as fast. So what happens then is our peptides, they start to break down. The collagen, it starts to break down. We're starting to sag. We're starting to see fine lines and wrinkles. Why? Because the cells are turning over at a slower rate. Retinol helps those cells to turn over faster. And when they're turning over faster, it reduces the signs of aging. It reduces the sagginess. It reduces the fine lines and wrinkles because the cells are turning over a little bit faster. Retinol also works well in the same way for acne, all right? The same principle behind renewing the cells in anti-aging is the same idea in renewing the skin after the damage of acne. So if you have somebody who's using anti-aging products, I bet those products have a lot of the same ingredients as product with acne. And I've noticed that over the past couple of years too, specifically in anti-aging products and acne products, a lot of them have the same ingredients. Next is vitamin B. It's also known as niacinamide. There's a bunch of different derivatives of it. There's biotin, there's vitamin B2, vitamin B13. There's a dozen different versions of vitamin B. But today, for our purposes, we're going to talk about niacinamide, vitamin B13. What that does, for people who are suffering from acne, what niacinamide does is it helps to remove the surface oils from the skin so that you can get in there and start targeting the bacteria. For people who also are suffering from acne, but also people who are suffering from hyperpigment, dark spots, uneven skin tone, niacinamide also helps to even out the skin tone. It's a natural lightener, brightener, and evens things out. So it has kind of a dual purpose. It'll help to remove the surface oil so you can get in there and target the acne. And it also helps to even out the skin tone, especially after the redness and erythema of acne. Because the acne that we see is itself inflammation. So if we can calm that inflammation down, then we're going to reduce the signs of acne. Any questions about vitamin B? Next one is vitamin C. I like to consider vitamin C a super ingredient. There's three, in fact, three things that I call a super ingredient. It's vitamin C, CBD, and gold. These are the three super ingredients, all right? These are ingredients that are going to moisturize your skin. They have anti-inflammatory properties. They have, they suppress the production of melanin, meaning they even out the skin tone. And they also have antioxidant properties as well. So vitamin C is a super ingredient, just like CBD or just like gold. They do multiple things for your skin at the same time. But when you're looking at vitamin C formulations, you're gonna hear this a lot, especially moving forward in the beauty industry. You're gonna hear people say, vitamin C spoils easily. You're gonna hear people say, vitamin C isn't effective if you leave it open. Vitamin C oxidates fast. It's true. Yes, it's true. One form of vitamin C does that, but there are more kinds of vitamin C, all right? Ascorbic acid is the version of vitamin C that if you leave it open, it'll oxidize and it'll become ineffective. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna change your skin or anything. It's just not gonna work, all right? But if you look for different versions of vitamin C in formulation, something other than ascorbic acid, like there's the best one is an oil-based form of vitamin C, and you can leave that open all day and it's not going to oxidize. It's called tetrahexadecyl ascorbate. That's a really long word, and I don't expect you to remember it, but basically that's the oil-soluble form of vitamin C. Dermalogica uses it in a lot of their products, mainly because of shelf life. It helps the product last longer. But when you hear people say, and you're going to hear people say, vitamin C doesn't work because it oxidizes or it spoils or it goes bad, yes, some forms do. But when you're talking about professional grade, salon quality products, you're not going to have to worry about that. Vitamin C. Okay, moving on. 2 more vitamins. Vitamin D. Technically, vitamin D isn't a vitamin. It's technically a hormone that is produced in your skin through sun exposure. So you need the sun in order to produce vitamin C. But because we live up here in a high altitude, everybody up here at this high altitude is a little vitamin D deficient, and here's why. Because we're closer to the sun, and we protect ourselves from the sun. We shield ourselves from the sun, and we reduce the vitamin C, or vitamin D that we're getting. So there's open debate about this. Does sunscreen prevent vitamin C synthesis? This is an open debate. If you're wearing sunscreen to protect yourself from the sun, but at the same time the sunscreen is blocking your ability to get vitamin D, is sunscreen actually beneficial? This is an open debate. Whether or not you want to protect yourself from vitamin C through the sun or not, that's up to you. But if you're wanting to get vitamin D, take a supplement. I take vitamin D supplements all the time because I know that I live up here in this high environment. Yeah, go ahead.
Can't you get vitamin D from orange juice?
I don't know. I know vitamin C is in orange juice, but I don't know about vitamin D in orange juice. But I know you can take supplements for vitamin D, and I know that you can have a healthy amount of sun exposure and still get your vitamin D. There are some foods out there that do have vitamin D in it, but I don't know about orange juice. I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. One more vitamin. Vitamin E. Probably the most common form of vitamin E is vitamin E oil. You get it at any grocery store or pharmacy. But you can put it in your bath. A lot of people use that for their bath, or sometimes they use it after a sunburn. What vitamin E does is it's a natural moisturizer, so you can put it on your skin and it'll protect your skin from losing moisture. But at the same time, what vitamin E does is it protects your skin from sun exposure in a unique way. What vitamin E does is it absorbs the heat from the sun before it hits your skin and damages your skin. So vitamin E kind of creates a little shield right before the heat hurts your skin. It's not sunscreen. It does not have an SPF factor. Don't let your guests confuse vitamin E for sunscreen. It is not the same thing. But what it does, it kind of helps absorb the heat a little bit from the sun. So, any questions about vitamins? Yeah, go ahead.
So, about the niacinamide, if you use that in conjunction with exfoliant,
Yeah.
do you think that helps get the oils away?
Yeah.
So you can get bacteria underneath?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter like doing the 2 acids?
You can do both. So you would want to, if you were to do that, what you're talking about, the order you'd want to do, you would want to exfoliate first, then put in your niacinamide. Okay, because we're cleansing the skin first, and then we're going to exfoliate the skin we're cleansing the skin to remove dirts and oils. We're exfoliating the skin to remove the dead skin cells and even more of the dirts and oils. And now we have a blank canvas. We have clear skin to put the niacinamide in. So yes, use both. Exfoliate and moisturize. Those are your two big things, especially for people suffering from acne. Exfoliation, moisture.
Is it bad to exfoliate every day though?
In some cases, yes. There are some exfoliants that are designed to work every day. But like for professional purposes, most professional salon brands or even pharmaceutical brands recommend about once a week.
Okay.
That's pretty normal. It's exfoliating once a week.
So I've heard people talk about using coconut oil as sunscreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coconut oil. First, coconut oil. A lot of people are allergic to coconut oil, so it's usually just avoided in skincare formulations. But coconut oil, what that does, think of coconut oil like Vaseline. All right, it's just gonna slop over the top of your skin and not let anything in or out. So what you're doing is the sun rays are going through that coconut oil, and the coconut oil is gonna hold that heat and the sun right on your skin. So be careful. You really, to protect yourself from the sun, you want to use a broad spectrum SPF. There have been lots of myths out there. Butter, olive oil, castor oil. These are all things that are going to protect you from the sun. They don't. They never have. There's one that might. Avocado oil, maybe. It has an SPF of like 3. So it's not gonna do much for you. So yes, I hear a lot about coconut oil too, especially in like homemade formulations. That's pretty common, but like in professional formulations, coconut oil, especially when concerned with the sun, you don't want to avoid coconut oil. Go ahead. I've never heard of castor oil being used for acne. I mean, I'm trying to think of what a benefit of it would be. I guess, I mean, if you're talking about oily skin, there are some theories out there that if you fight fire with fire, all right, there is a theory there. You can reduce you can reduce the production of oil in skin by introducing certain kinds of oils. So maybe that could be where the castor oil comes from. I'm gonna have to look into that because there are some oils out there that break the rule of don't put oil on oily skin, and that could be one of them. Any other questions? Cool. Move on to the next one. All right, we're gonna just go over a few ingredients. We've already talked about niacinamide. Let's go into just a couple, and then I'll take a few questions, and then we'll be done for today. One of the most common skincare ingredients that you're going to hear about moving forward is called hyaluronic acid. You may have already heard about it. This is a really common ingredient, and it's getting even more common. Hyaluronic acid, what this is a natural compound that's already in your skin. It's already there doing its work. But when you use it topically, it helps to boost your natural response. This is a hydrator. A hydrator is different from a moisturizer, all right? Hydrators work from the inside out. They take moisture, like hyaluronic acid. It takes moisture from lower layers of your skin and brings it to the surface. Hydrators also take moisture from the air and bring it to the surface of your skin. Moisturizers, on the other hand, those just cover the outside of your skin and hold the moisture you already have in, and it keeps the dryness out. So, in general, again, there's exceptions to every rule, but in general, hydrators work from the inside out, like hyaluronic acid or glycerin. Moisturizers work from the outside in. Those are going to be like your oils and your creams, your gel base, things like that. Another hydrator like glycerin, that one's another really popular one. That's in almost every skincare formulation. It's a vegetable base. It's a natural hydrator. It works again. It pulls moisture from lower layers of the skin. In fact, if we go back to hyaluronic acid for just a second. When I'm talking about hyaluronic acid holding water, what I mean is it literally holds it like a sponge. Have you heard how like an ant can hold 50 times its weight? Hyaluronic acid can hold 1,000 times its weight in water, and it holds it there at the surface. So it draws from the bottom, lower layers of the skin, draws moisture from the hair, and it holds it at the surface. Again, I'm going to be honest about this too. There is a little debate. If you use too much hyaluronic acid, can it dry out your skin? Yes. Here's why. Because you're drawing too much moisture from lower layers of your skin, and you're going to dry it out doing that way. So a healthy amount, just like anything in moderation, is a good idea. So should you worry about it with normal usage, like using a professional product like Dermalogica? I don't think so. But there are some studies out there that say if you use it too much, I think it's just like anything else. If you drink too much water, or if you have too much sun exposure, just like anything, if you have too much, it's not good. Kojic acid, kind of like niacinamide. This helps to even out the skin tone. It helps to reduce pigmentation. So if you have a guest who has dark spots, sunspots, that's what kojic acid does. It's a natural lightener, it's a natural brightener, kind of like niacinamide. Another one is called licorice root. Licorice root is even stronger than kojic acid. So when you're looking at ingredients, those are important ingredients to look for. Peptides. Peptides are getting really popular, especially in the past couple of years. They get really popular in skincare formulations. Peptides, quickly, peptides are the bonds that hold your skin together. And over time, those bonds start to loosen. And so peptides topically help to hold those bonds together. It helps to prevent your skin from sagging and showing the fine lines and wrinkles. So I try to think of it this way: R&R, P&P. Retinols renew, peptides prevent. All right? That kind of helps me to remember that. Retinols renew, peptides prevent, and you can use them together. Almost done, guys. Bacachio. Again, this one is going to be really popular. You're going to hear about it in the coming years. Bacachio is a natural alternative to retinol. Bacachio, it's a plant from eastern China. What it does is it mimics the effects of retinol without the side effects. So if you have let's say you have a guest that you're about to wax their eyebrows, and you know that if they're using retinol, they should stop using retinol about 48 hours before a wax, because it can thin the skin and you can lift somebody that's using retinol. If you're using Bacachio instead of retinol, you don't have to worry about that. None of the bad side effects of retinol happen with Bacachio. In fact, the European Union is currently in the process of banning retinol because of that reason. And so Bacachio is starting to replace retinol around the world. So you're going to be hearing a lot about Bacachio. Squalene, that's another really popular one, natural moisturizer. And for those of you who are writing stuff down, I'm sorry I'm going so fast. And then there's one last ingredient I want to talk about, my favorite. It's called green tea. Green tea is my favorite skincare ingredient. What it is it has natural antioxidant properties, natural anti-inflammatory properties. What it does is it helps to reduce redness. It helps to reduce inflammation. It helps to soothe after the damage of sun. The reason why I love it so much is because it's an antioxidant. And I haven't touched on antioxidants yet, but I'm going to go deep into antioxidants right now, because I've noticed that there have been some misunderstandings about what antioxidants and free radicals are and do. Can anybody tell me what an antioxidant is and what it does? Okay, so I'll just go right into it. So let's imagine a skin molecule in your skin. And let's say we've had some sun exposure or a bad habit like smoking, all right? Or sunburn. We have a full molecule right here. And what that damage is going to do is it's going to take one of those molecules, it's an electron from the molecule, and it's going to knock it out of the system. So now this molecule is incomplete. It is missing an electron. This is called a free radical. It's a molecule that is missing an electron. And what it's doing is it's going to look around to its neighbors, and it's going to steal an electron from that neighbor. Now it's back to balance. Well, now this one is missing one, so it's going to steal from that one. And what this does is this creates a chain reaction that damages your skin. These are free radicals. Every time you have a puff of cigarette smoke, you're creating trillions of free radicals. If you're out in the sun for an hour, you're creating trillions of free radicals. Go ahead.
What would like a normal start of those free radicals, like visually looking at someone's skin, if you're going through that process, what would that look like on the surface?
You're looking at erythema. You're looking at redness. You're looking at sometimes flakiness, and you're also looking at photo damage. You're looking at fine lines and wrinkles over time. That's exactly what you're going to see. Especially photo damage, you're going to see. So we have a free radical. It's missing an electron. It's stealing an electron from its neighbors. It's creating this chain reaction that shows the redness or the fine lines and wrinkles or the flakiness or dryness. So what do? We need an antioxidant, like green tea. What an antioxidant is going to do is it's going to donate an electron back to that molecule, and it's going to bring it back to balance. And this stops that chain reaction and brings your skin back into balance. So damage like smoking or sun exposure knocks out an electron, an antioxidant puts that electron back, brings everything back into balance. Green tea, you can use it topically or you can drink it if you like, and it has the same effects. But when you're talking about drinking green tea or you're talking about giving your guests supplements, be very careful, especially in the state of Colorado. We are beauty professionals. We cannot sell supplements. We're not nutritionists. We can't tell people what to eat. Some states it's okay, but here in Colorado, we are not allowed to offer, suggest, or sell supplements. That's outside of our swimming practice. You can say, I use supplements for my skin, but you can't say you should. You're going into the gray area there. Any questions before we move on? Yeah, go ahead. I didn't hear what. Oh, beef tallow. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Actually, I did a video about making beef tallow about a year ago. So beef tallow, it's a natural moisturizer. You can use it in skincare products. You can also use it if you mix it with water and lye. It becomes a soap. Again, you have natural moisturizing properties in the beef tallow, but what you're really getting is barrier properties from the beef tallow. You're talking about moisturizing properties. You're holding the moisture in and you're keeping the bad stuff out. So think of like Vaselines and things like that. Vaseline doesn't really have any medicinal properties to it. It just covers the skin. But beef tallow, it has that same property. It covers the skin, but it also has some natural moisturizing properties as well. So yes, beef tallow is excellent, especially if you're in the natural DIY world. Go for it. Any other questions? Cool. Well, thank you for coming. I have a couple goodies for you. Here is, this is a vitamin E soap that I made.